If you have a small brand and you want to start advertising Meta, what I would say is budget at least $100 a day on Meta, because if you cannot spend anything above that, then you shouldn't even be considering Meta. You should just be running organic. If your product is over $100, then you should at least be able to spend whatever the price of your product is every day. That, what I would say, is the floor that you should start at. So I'm going to show you how to run meta ads for micro/smaller brands. These are brands that are doing either less than 50K a month all the way to zero spend. So if you haven't run any meta ads before, this video is for you. So these are the problems of a new brand, and we see this every day. I go into sales calls and I get new brands all the time. So the problem is you don't have enough sales data. You also are testing blind because you don't know what works and what doesn't work. You don't know your avatar yet because you don't have enough data in your sales to tell you like who are the people that are actually buying it. You don't have any history, and because your ad account is pretty new, there are higher chances that your account is just going to get shut down or your ads are going to get rejected. Rejections and shutdowns are coming in at a more frequent pace nowadays, is because there are a lot of bot accounts now that are creating ad accounts. And so Meta is putting in these guardrails to validate that your account, you are actually not a robot. And obviously, because you don't have enough funds to put into your ad account, you cannot test meaningfully. So the regular setup of prospecting, retargeting, and scaling campaigns can't really apply for you, because those campaign structures would only work for brands that are spending at least $1,000 to $2,000 a day. So my first advice, before we get into the structures and all that, don't get caught up in the creative process. I know the creative process is doing the research, doing the avatar, doing perfect research before you start running the ads. What I would say is start making ads. I'll show you which ones to make later in the video, but start making the ads and just launch them and get the feedback as you're learning, as you're running the ads and spending money on the account. And the second thing is that the quote unquote experts nowadays are pretty expensive. If you, for example, like if you hire a creative strategist, it's right around like 65 to 115K USD annually. And so if you're a new brand, smaller brand, you cannot really afford somebody like this, and much less an agency like us. We're pretty expensive. And so for a newer brand, it doesn't make sense for us to work with them. So don't get caught up in getting the expert to run it for you or getting the creative process perfect, your research perfect. Just start making the ads, start setting up the account, which I'll show you here, and then just run the ads and check back every 2 to 3 days to see which ones perform or not, and you can iterate as you go. Okay. So the first goal here is we want to exit the learning phase strategy, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to set up a warm-up campaign. Again, this applies for a brand that has never run any ads before on their Meta. So if you have sales data and you're Meta ready and you've been doing it for a month or two, then feel free like skip straight to sales campaigns. But if you have zero spend on it, then you want to make sure that you have a warm-up campaign first. And we do this for every new brand that we take on. And yes, we're going to be running vanilla content for this, which means that it's just very basic photos. You can get it on any stock site, or you can even generate it using AI. So the first campaign here, which is just for engagement, we're not aiming for sales in this 7-day period. The reason we're doing this is we want to tell Meta that our account is not a spam account. And the way that we do that is by just running a very low scale engagement campaign. And so we set it at a $15 daily budget. The campaign objective is engagement, so it's not sales or it's not leads or anything like that. And then under the ad set, you can see there's 2 creatives here. These 2 creatives are very, very vanilla. There's no sales in them. It's just literally, I think for this here, it was literally a photo of a couple. It's just like a stock photo of a couple for each ad. And that's it. You just do that for 7 days, and then you can turn it off after that. Because the last thing that you want once you start running the ads, later down the road, is Meta to just shut you down after 14 days. And everything that you've worked hard for at that point is gone. Okay. So after your engagement campaign is done, then we want to move into the sales campaign. And we do have, every media buyer has their own way of structuring the ad account. And this is what my media buyers and also I structure my own ad account, which is 1-3-3 structure. So you have 1 CBO campaign, 3 ad sets, and 3 ads in each. The 3 ads are the ad variations, and then you have each ad set is set as its own concept. So for one of our brands here, you can see one campaign, 3 ad sets, 3 different variations. So you have A, B, C variations, and all of them are in 1 by 1. So these are just statics. Again, this is your preliminary week 1 type of creative, so you don't have to go crazy with, perfection here. You can literally use Higgsfield or Nano Banana Pro or ChatGPT 2 at this time is the best generation tool for statics nowadays is GPT-2, but you can change in the future. Just say that, just give it the list for your features, your problems, and your benefits, and get it to create you an ad. Later on, we'll talk about what kind of ads you can make initially. We have our quote unquote bread and butter creatives that we start for every brand. And these are just a way for us to test of all the basic statics and basic videos, which ones would work first. Okay. And as you can see, we are starting with 115 daily, and a cost per purchase right now is $56 for this brand. So our aim within this structure is really what we want to see is we want to get out of the learning phase. And learning phase is right around 50 conversions. This is, for a sub $100 product. We want to get out of 50 conversions within 30 days. And another goal that we want to know is how much does it cost us to acquire a customer, and how much is the average order value per customer. Knowing these, knowing your CAC, your AOV, and obviously your spend, that's going to give you you can forecast what your next 2 weeks, next month is going to be. And you're going to be able to do, very back of napkin math on how much you should be spending to get one customer. So in terms of the campaign structure here for the sales campaign, here's an example. We are doing a very broad, so United States broad advantage plus enabled male, female, 18 to 65 plus. We're not restricting any ages. Okay, so in terms of here, we also enable placements as advantage plus placements. Although we do turn off all the advantage plus enhancements on the ad set and ad level, but we keep it on the audience and placements. And I highly advise that keep it on for audience and placements, especially if you're just starting out. Yeah, so 50 conversions, that's our goal. We want to get there as fast as possible. If you can get there in 20 days, and then fuck yes, let's do it. But again, this is just a ballpark number. And so you can, 50 conversion is what Meta suggests it to be, but sometimes especially for like higher order value brands, like $300, $400, that learning phase can take at around like 30 conversions or 40 conversions. And in terms of the learning threshold here, like when should you keep, kill, iterate, or copy an ad, which is around 3 to 5 days of runtime. We'll talk about this later in the video. I'll tell you which KPIs you should look for before keeping or killing an ad or iterating on it. Okay, so let's move on to my favorite part here, which is the creatives. Because honestly, you can run an ABO campaign if you want. You can do 2 campaigns. You can split into 2 campaigns if you have a little bit more money. 2 campaigns with different ad sets or just one ad set and just dump all your ads in there. Doesn't really matter. The goal is to just stick with one structure and keep that as you go on. You can structure it differently as you prefer, but what's going to make your account is going to be your creatives, which is the biggest barrier for most brands. And for micro brands and small, you actually don't need a lot to make your ads. And what AI has given us nowadays is the ceiling for being able to create an ad has gone through the basement. It's hella low to make an ad. I can make an ad in 30 seconds now, where 2 to 3 years ago, it would take me either a designer or it would take me 2 hours in Photoshop. So the barrier to entry for making ads is very, very low, but that also means that everyone's making very, very low quality creatives. So when you're starting up, a lot of brands that we see is that they're looking at their all the time, and also they're looking at their account all the time. They're just, in the ad account 24/7. And what we tell them is, instead of spending 6 hours a day just staring at your ad account, use that valuable time to make new ads, to generate new creatives. And I say generate here because yes, you can use AI to make your new ads, especially when you're starting out. So don't watch the ad account. That thing is not going to explode into the moon in the next 24 hours. So just keep on making new creatives, because a good problem to have is you have too many creatives in your bank that you haven't run yet, versus not having enough creatives when your account starts to scale. Okay, so I'll tell you how to DIY your ads using AI. Now, there are bread and butter, like I said in the beginning, there's our bread and butter creative formats that we run for every brand that we bring in. It doesn't matter if the brand is telehealth or health and wellness or fashion or beauty. We run these bread and butter creative formats because we see these, 6 out of 10 out of creatives perform well, not just in the beginning, but also as we scale the account, just because like they're bread and butter. They're for some reason they are the top performing ones right now. Okay, so we'll start with the static formats that we can do. And the first one here, what I would say is the us versus them creative format for statics. So I'll give you an idea here for a pen. So you have ours versus, and you pretty much just want to X mark every feature list that you have. This is targeting more bottom of funnel, and we like to have the offer right in the call to action. I would say stay away from like the shop now, buy now. Do it as if your call to action is either your offer or your money back guarantee or any risk reversal that you have. So always tie your call to action to a result or to an offer. And then you have here is the sales offer. A sales offer is basically the same thing as the above one here, but we're focusing more on the sales. So if it's Black Friday, then obviously you want that front and center, and you want to show the product all the time too. And the copy here, the headline copy, make sure that it relates to the season or relates to the pain point that your intended avatar is having. Another bread and butter creative is a before and after. This performs really well for beauty, for anything with regards to like weight loss or health and wellness. And yeah, people just eat this up for some reason. Yeah, so you want the before, a drastic before and after. You can generate this, and you can use Higgsfield or ChatGPT 2 to generate this for you. Another one here, one of my favorites, is a notes ad. And we've been seeing this since like 2020, let's say 2023, 2022, when people started using these. But a notes app ad, if you have an iPhone, you can literally just make this yourself. You have to lean a little bit more into your copy because it has to be very captivating as they read through the entire copy. They either have to learn that there's a sales offer or that you have a very unique take on the product text. And so the headline also has to catch them off guard. We like to say we're sorry or we're closing down or something about, something that grabs attention right away, like a problem statement at the top or a quote from somebody. You can go wild with this, and you can make 3 or 6 variations of this. One thing that I would add with the notes ad is try to maintain, we don't have it here, but there's a UI that's included in your notes app. If you take a screenshot in your notes app, it's it's going to have the notes here and then some icons in the bottom. So make sure that you keep that just so it feels more natural. And then you have a UGC photo. A UGC photo is pretty much just a photo with no text. So I really love this from Nerf Dog, and I think Pet Lab also something similar to this, and we just tried it for another brand of ours, and it did really well, especially if it's either showcasing the avatar or the product itself. So just a UGC photo, and the trick with this is your primary copy on the ad has to tap into a story about the UGC photo. So you cannot just run a regular primary copy about sales when you have a UGC photo like this, because people are not going to know what the hell this is even about. So make sure that if you're running something like this, that you expand on the story or what we're seeing on the primary copy of the ad. Okay, now we'll move on to founder videos or just videos in general. I like to lean on founder videos because these are the cheapest to make, because if you're running your own brand, why not hop in the front. So you have an explainer video. This one I know is showcasing a B-roll in the bottom, but you do not have to do this yourself. We can play it like this.
This razor that you buy once, it's a razor that you own forever, and it's a razor that no matter how many times you use it, it functions the same as the day that you bought it.
Yeah, so I really like this ad. It's been running for I think 3 or 4 years at this point. It's a bread and butter for hands and shaving, and this is a great ad because it showcases the ultimate authority in the brand. And you can do this by just sitting in front of the camera, talking to the camera, not even having a B-roll like this. But if you have B-roll that you can shoot with your phone, then you want to overlay it in the bottom here. And you can use CapCut, you can use Instagram edits, or even there's a bunch of editing tools that you can use in your phone to create a 9:16 like this. You don't need a video editor, but if you really want to get a video editor, just get somebody from Fiverr to get this for you. A product demo. I really like product like these ones. Really, it's really showing the product like that. This is a glasses product, and so you know how complicated demo would be. You just show it in front of the camera. But if you're doing a beauty, you're gonna do it on a table, and then you're just gonna show how to use the product. So really love product demos. Another one is a sales shout out. Actually, one of the ones that we did in the past. So a sales shout out is just a founder he's actually wearing the product here. So it's the founder talking about a sale, and that's it. They're just delivering a sale. Like, you want it to feel as raw as possible. It's like you're doing a FaceTime, you're just sending it to a friend. No perfect lighting, you can walk around. I like walking around as you're doing a founder video because it adds more interest in your frame. If you're not comfortable being in front of the camera for the founder videos, you can also have a spokesperson do it. You can also work with actors in your area. So obviously, if it's a creator, they cannot say that they are the founder. So you do lose a little bit the credibility there, or the authority, but it's a one way to get around having more videos. Okay, so in terms of variations here, we do opt for 3 maximum variations. Sometimes we would go for 4. The reason here is that you want your iterations or your variations to be meaningful. So if you can make 4 meaningful variations, then go for it. But if it's just literally a 2-word change that doesn't change the messaging of your hook, then just drop one and to like however, you know, net new hooks you can have. So in terms of iterations that we're going forward, you want to lean on net new creatives more than iterations, because when you're starting out, you do not have enough data to tell if your ad is a top performer against the other ads. So what you want to do is you want more at-bats, basically. And a net new creative is an at-bat, and iteration is not, because it is likely using the same avatar, likely using the same creative from a previous ad. And so it is bundled into just one ad. So it's just a waste of time, especially if you're just starting out. Honestly, this also applies if you're a bigger brand. Okay, so post Andromeda lever in terms of iterating on the creatives here. We like to have different levels here. If you can think of a lever as which part of this lever can you pull to, which is going to be the easiest in terms of like lifting this object, is going to be the one in the end, which is the easiest one, which is new faces. So anytime that you can introduce a new face, a new avatar, a new creator into the ad, that is one way that you can talk to an entirely new audience. And what we've seen so far in the past 6 to 12 months is anytime that we add a new creator that looks different from the original, the new creator will be shown into the avatars, the customers that look like them. And so if you want to target somebody in their 50s and 60s, you obviously want to show somebody in their 50s and 60s. So if you want to target like Gen Z women, then you would want to show Gen Z women as well. The only asterisk here, what I would say is that if you want to target male in their 20s, mid-20s, then you want to show an object of desire, which is, attractive females in their 20s as well. I have a friend who works with a blue-collar company, and the ideal customer is somebody who works in the trades. And so one thing that I pitched him is, what if we show in the ads an attractive female, because that is the object of desire for these blue-collar men. And next thing you know, that is a great performing ad for them. So the next lever here is new pane. So anytime that you can introduce a new pane or a new angle of the pane, then that is another lever that you can pull. And then the last one here, which is pretty low and also pretty hard, is a new offer. You cannot change your offer every 30 days or every 2 weeks. It's just, there's very few offers that you can have for an e-com brand. Either it's money back guarantee. If people are not resonating with a 30-day money back guarantee, they're probably not going to resonate for a 45-day or a 60-day. They're probably not going to care. So when you're doing a new offer, make sure that it's not just a change in number, but it's also a change in either the delivery mechanism or a change in the feeling of safety. Okay, so now we're into the learning thresholds: keep, kill, iterate. So in terms of the objective metrics here, what we look at is the level of spend that is at, and also cross-referencing that with the conversion rate or the conversion numbers. So in terms of the spend here, for example, if we're doing a $50 product, we're selling a $50 product, then we would want to see right around $50 to $100. If we spend that how many conversions can we get from that creative. If we get 0 creatives from an $80 spend ad, then obviously we don't want to keep on spending to get more, because we would just be operating at a loss on that ad. So you want to be mindful in terms of keeping and killing your ad depending on the spend level, because if the spend level is too low, then you do not have enough learning from that creative. Now, sometimes we would also kill a creative even though it hasn't met our spend threshold. For example, if we look at the subjective metrics here, like outbound click-through rate, if the outbound click-through is less than 1%, or the hook rate is less than 20% and the hold rate is less than 5%, then you best believe that that ad is probably not gonna perform once it has a $500 spend or a $1,000 spend. It's just not going to scale very well. And so we kill it earlier in the game if the subjective metrics don't do really well. I also have this is not my guide, but I think it's owned by Motion, the things that you can change in the creative depending on the metrics that you're getting. So if you have a low hold is anything below, I would say 10%. 15% is amazing for a hold rate. Then you would reorder the clips, add a new shot after 3 seconds, or you even want to shorten the ad and move them to the call to action as soon as possible. If you have a low click-through rate, you want to aim for above 1.5%. This is, you can base it on click-through rate as all or outbound click-through. For outbound click-through, we want to aim for around 1.5%. For low click-through rate, we want to aim for around 2%. And then hook rate, we want to aim for around 40%. That's a great hook rate. Anything above 30 is good. Anything below that, it's just okay. First frame retention, we don't really look at this because the hook rate already tells us that. And most of the time, if it's a video, the thumbnail doesn't really matter because it would just autoplay. But for a low hook rate, you can change the hook visual if you are getting a low hook rate but a good hold. And conversion rate, obviously, that's also going back into the landing page congruency if your landing page relates to your ad. One way they can do is make a custom landing page that directly speaks to the ad that you're running. Okay, so another one that we're looking at is CPM, although we do not base if we're going to kill or maintain an ad based on this, just because it's too noisy. It's like ROAS, it's noisy depending on the time frame that you're looking at it. You also want to watch for creative fatigue. So anything above 1.5, 1.7 frequency, that's a signal that you are lacking ads that are relevant to the audience. So what you want to do is you want to create more ads so that Meta has more ammo to show to your audience. And if you haven't been getting any conversion in 24 to 48 hours, that's also a good sign that Meta is struggling to find your avatar. And so you want to introduce more targeted, more specific creatives. So all in all, in terms of keep or an ad, we combine objective metrics, which is how much to spend. Like if we have a $200 spend threshold, we're not going to touch that ad until it has spent $200, unless it has really, really bad subjective metrics. Okay, and again, like the goal here is to know how much does it cost you to acquire a customer, your CAC. By proxy, you'd be able to do that from the dashboard through your CPA. So if you combine like your OPEX, how much you're paying for shipping, your CAC for an average ecom brand should be right around 40 to 50%. Obviously, you don't want to go anything above that, because economies of scale is going to get more inefficient for you as you scale. And if you're already at 50% at a low level, then the economics is not going to be good. At the end of the day, e-commerce it's an operation, it's a game. You want to reduce your OPEX as much as you can. And obviously you want to know your AOV / I would say LTV too. But LTV is more of a long-term play that you can see within 3 to 6 months. AOV, you want to aim for like higher than, you want to optimize for a higher AOV, because then your shipping is going to be much, much cheaper. The last thing that I want to leave you guys here is that stop monitoring your ads every hour, because you want to give it time, give it some breathing room to run. And if you're there every hour watching your ad, if it did convert or not, then you're just not giving it enough room. Frankly, you're not using your time very well. So instead of watching your ad every hour, start making the ads through, you can use Higgsfield, you can use ChatGPT, you can start sourcing UGC, like especially if you're just starting out, like use your time wisely instead of just watching the account every day. What we like to do is, we set a day in our week where that's the day, and also that's the time when we're going to go back into the ad account. We're going to decide which ones we're going to kill and which ones we're going to maintain.